supported, boosted Orisa here. And on the attack, Runaway's running dive, but it is summons to Hanzo here to try to break
Okay, so
the Orisa.
normalish dive.
And the lack of a Widow here could come back to bite them on the defense. It's all about the attack for Runaway right now.
Good. Playing on the mid ground here. Youngjin looking for a hook. Not gonna find anything yet.
Kongdoo's playing like a kind of baity spot where I think if you were Runaway and you saw like members up here on Treehouse, you would assume it's like the majority of the team's going to be playing up on Treehouse, and they're just going to be playing to spam these chokes and basically hold back passively. But they only really have 3 members up there. Then they have the Zen play up here, which is kind of standard. It's fine. Actually, I should change the color. Is blue fine? Maybe the pink's better. They have the Zen up here, but then they also have Youngjin just playing back here and Ding playing here. So I think the assumption is like they want to like have someone maybe walk in this area or somewhere down here where they look to discord and then hook, and then that's their win condition. But Runaway's rotation to like take the high ground will actually force the Zen back and like change the dynamic of it. And because Kongdoo doesn't have the same spam like as a Junkrat or like a Hanzo, they aren't able to hold the space like as forward and like spam them as they're coming in. So I think Kongdoo basically just didn't get the play that they wanted, and so the comp kind of falls apart because they're able to just get dove up on the high ground without much contest.
That's why even though Hakusal saw Luffy on the ground, he didn't go for that because the plan was to burst down the tanks on the high ground there with the Genji. That's going to hope to build a Dragon Blade for second point, and of course the Hanzo, which does the most damage to tanks. Twilight, of course, running those Discord Orbs to allow that burst to come through. So very well executed here by Runaway. They're about to have the Blade. They've got Summonsu on the Brigida now, with the sustainable healing and the stun potential there on the defensive Genji. Really nice opportunity here for Runaway to get a great time bank with the ults they have.
They're wrapping around through the catacombs. Right now, Youngjin hugging back towards the spawn. Dragon Blade going to be pulled out. Hakusal, the Mercy, moves away from him, and now he doesn't really have a target. Dashes back in. They help take down Youngjin.
They have mirror comps right here, and this works in Runaway's favor just for the fact that they're going to get Blade first, and then they're also going to pace them in trance. So you can see they're literally, they made the rotation. There's no way they can get engaged on anymore in this room unless someone gets really poked out. And you can see Youngjin is actually playing like in a really smart location actually to scout. He isn't going to be assisting his team, but he's going to be getting a lot of information. And there's a chance he's able to like come behind and then potentially flank Twilight once his tanks are able to like jump in through here, or completely wrap around and they're able to like isolate someone whenever someone like Bumper or Janu are going to be like walking out onto the point and playing more forward. Maybe they potentially can't save whoever's getting flanked. But Hakusal and Twilight both get ults, and I imagine the go button's just called. And they immediately peel for Youngjin. So I think ideally it's like a smart play if Kongdoo's actually able to like put tanks in the room with Youngjin. And maybe get that flank on Twilight. I honestly don't know how Twilight gets so isolated here. Maybe they got confused on where they were resetting. It seems like at this point, Runaway should not be losing any members. but they're resetting in like this area, which is pretty poor. So like they were holding this area before, and then they went to like take this area, and then they were on the bridge, and then they're using trance, or Luffy is using trance, and they're trying to kill people through it, and then they're trying to reset again. But all of Kongdoo is sending all their members out like this spawn door, so they're just basically running into the enemy team, and they're just gonna get run over at that point. So I think if they just would have stayed on the bridge after they took that space, then they would have been okay.
Sure, they have 6 minutes to build time, but as we've already learned, if you use time as a concept to just throw out the idea of ult efficiency and hope for the best, especially when you have no ticks in this scenario, I think that was incorrect by Summonsu. He'll keep his own armor for that, but that's about it. So a very costly choice. His positioning will be important now against Decay's next blade. He's stunned already. Perfect opportunity.
Yeah, dashes through, finds 3 off the bat. One swipe gets 2, follows up 4 in the end. Decay shutting.
It's pretty baseline.
All it takes is one stun like that to set up.
If the enemy team knows that you're going to be rotating through there, then you want to change your game plan, or you just want to bait it so like you have a tank or 2 going through, and then you play for the rest of the backline to peel.
Couldn't accomplish anything. He's gonna have another one here real soon. But that's how you use a blade against an enemy Brigida. That was super coordinated.
Okay, good opening.
Left click there.
Oxall nearly with his Dragon Blade ready to go. They jump in, blade set. He's gonna pull it out. He's looking for the Brigida. Will find it. Youngjin going down. Now swiping through. Takes down Ding, pops him out.
It's honestly just a huge tragedy.
Final swipe, the melee
Decay getting picked off.
back in onto the point. Oxall dashes through, finds Coma. Decay gets picked up. Runaway on their second attempt, their third really.
It baited some dominoes to just fall instantly after the Mercy, then overcommits. They have to over.
That one, no problem. Push back onto the point from Kongdoo Panthera. Luffy escorts them in with the Transcendence as they look to take the fight, as they look to regain control. Hoop off the point for the moment there as Ding pushes back in with the Diva.
Youngjin
Under
surviving.
fire, does manage to stay alive. Twilight has his own Transcendence, hasn't felt anything to pop it yet. Drops down onto the low ground. Self-destruct comes out from Ding, trying to find a pick, but he's not going to get it. Now the Transcendence is in. As they charge forward, Twilight keeping everybody topped up. Oxall finds the first kill. Bumper falling low, has that primal rage up, but will not be able to survive. Dragon Blade here from Decay.
Another
Looking to
big
turn
one.
things around, but Oxall comes in from behind, shuts him down, and now he's got his own blade set to go.
Youngjin is not assailable though from this position. Huxall can't pull the blade out, and the respawns come through faster for Panthera.
Oxall rejoins, gets the armor pack. Blade is ready. So Ralph to get the hit there on the Youngjin. The rally is out from Summonsu, as you say. He's trying to get armor in on everybody, but Twilight's still going to go down, as does that Brigida.
The formation here and Youngjin's positioning are just too much for Huxall. He can't find an opportunity with this team fight, unfortunately, despite the fact they pick up nearly 82%.
Fantastic stagger as well.
Yeah, despite the fact they pick up nearly 82%, Huxall knows better than to pull out a blade there. The opportunity looked big when Youngjin was alone, but he knew he had his shield bash available. He knew the respawns were going to come through. It would have been a wasted blade. Runaway's going to switch composition. Janu goes back here. And we see the swap of slime over to the Mercy. Let's see if they can make this blade big now. But again, it's going to be all about Youngjin.
Oxall getting zapped a bit. Bumper. Trying to get that.
They're trying to do a similar bait to what they did before, which is have the tanks holding close, basically forcing Runaway to fight them here, and then have the Mercy in a safest location. But then if they're able to get this Discord, they're able to potentially chase like this and then look to like clean the kill. Can we see where the Zen is?
Janu goes back here. And we see the swap of slime over to...
You a lot of times can't get the Discord unless the tanks walk up here if your Zen is playing like main on the ground. So sometimes what they'll do is like put the Zen under here and then look to get like a cheeky right click or like a Discord from here and then have everyone else here on the high ground commit onto them as well.
The Mercy. Let's see if they can make this blade big now. But again, it's going to be all about Youngjin.
Oxall getting zapped a bit. Bumper. Trying to get that primal rage on.
Oh, he resets in a shit spot. He resets right here actually, so he's in line of sight of the Zen who's playing main.
Line, but it's not even halfway there yet.
Huge opportunity now.
That's going to be that self-destruct infested. Ding gets taken down, but Twilight traded out as Youngjin finds a kill. Now Slime will also fall. No supports available, and Runaway is going to get stomped out, 4 members dead. The tank's trying to escape, but Bumper will not be given the opportunity. He will be eliminated. Jono makes it out, so fortunately no.
So I technically think that's an okay trade because they use Blade for Diva Bomb Trance.
Huxell sees the first opportunity but doesn't think about the bigger picture. It's happened twice already here on this attack. Looking for the kill there on the backline, looking for the Mercy. Fails to get it, misses a Dragon Blade. This time sees the pilot form, thinks that that's going to turn the fight, and then is instantly killed afterwards. Kongdoo Panthera, massive ult advantage.
Oh, deja vu perhaps. The Kate just comes up the left click kill there on a Huxell. But we're back into the catacombs and there's another Dragon Blade set. Okay, not drawing it out yet.
And the Transcendence.
They can use Trance here and win the fight.
Twilight just trying to keep everybody alive. They managed to pop thing out of the mech. Runaway, can they convert this into a win? Can they get in onto the point? Final Rage going to be used by Bumper. Roar has already used his. As Twilight is just swinging away, looking for the kills.
Decay, nothing can shut down his blade except the stun here because the Transcendence was used.
They're hounding him down.
They're overcommit.
Pulls out the Dragon Blade. Still being topped up. He will not fall. Drops onto the low ground. Gets the kill on the
There's so much going on the screen. It's so pixelated. I think they were basically just like understanding that like should they use the trance to gain the room because they needed to, and then they used the armor in like the catacombs here because they basically need to take the space and like try to capture the point with some time banks. So they're like, okay, we need to win this fight. The problem then happens is if they're gonna be in this situation and there's gonna be a Genji blade coming at them with like a Mercy pocket, they're just like guaranteed going to lose. So I think Decay automatically just gets discorded, and then Janu's job is just to play to counter him. It's probably like best case scenario that Runaway only gets their tanks bladed.
Now rejoins with the rest of the squad, and Runaway, they are in dire straits. A minute 24 left on the clock. Huxell finds one, as Roar will go down, and Bumper is going to be res back.
Because they actually have a chance here, and they actually are surviving, and then like Slime's able to get a res off.
Res on the Roar, puts him back into the fray. Youngjin will fall. Janu popped out of the mech now.
Problem is trading evenly isn't exactly what you want.
Another rally for Decay. Gets rid of Janu. Takes him out. Now follows up. Gets Sominsu. Runaway seemingly held at bay here for the moment. Bumper into the back. Gets rid of Coma, but has to leap out to safety.
It has to be now. This is the only push that will work, or they are not getting B completed. That has to be the rally to start the approach. Huxell will have to pull the blade with the Transcendence protecting him, burst down Youngjin. That's the only way this works. The window of time before Luffy has Transcendence is where he's going to have to make this happen. In the longer fight, Luffy easily gets Transcendence. They have the armor from the rally, so that's going to make it even harder. But this, it has to be right now before Luffy has Transcendence, or it's not going to work.
I mean, you also have to try to take down Decay, because as soon as that Transcendence is gone from Twilight,
Oh, yeah.
he's going to pull out his own blade.
He pulled out first.
Self-destruct comes down, and will fight Sominsu as
That's
the rally
huge.
gets used. So no armor really going over to anybody. Huxell's going to pull the blade. He's looking for the Mercy. Dashes through. Does manage to find Coma, but he's falling low. Top back up as the Transcendence comes down.
Oh, this rotation is so sketch.
Transcendence ready to go. He has it online now, and he pops it instantly.
They did pretty good to bait and get the suit.
Just gonna be hounded down as Huxell gets the kill. Runaway trying to make their way in onto the point. Slime falling low. Gets top back up. Sominsu offers him that armor pack.
They're getting pushed back, though. They need more. They need
Their way
kills.
in. Huxell falling so dangerously low. Gets tops back up again. Staying alive, but Runaway have to be in for the fight here. They have to get this cap. Roar and Youngjin.
I think they were playing safe, waiting for Samangsu to come back. It seems like they weren't overcommitting at all. They were just playing to peel.
Going low on Ding's mech as they try to get the pop, but he drops onto the low ground to buy a little bit more time. They're so damn close to getting this cap. 98.1%. The kills now coming through. Runaway get it, but it's in overtime.
And now, long play May. But look, to get B. But you think
Push forward coming through. We'll just be sticking with this Genji Hanzo.
for the time being,
See this one every now and then, but rarer in the composition.
very powerful against the Junkrat.
Runaway's kind of playing a weird comp, but it interacts in a like a weirdish way, because if you're generally playing like a standard comp with like Widow, Zen, and then like these DPS, then it plays a bit differently, because usually only have like the 2 tanks or like 3 people here with the junk, and then you have like Widow playing further back, Zen playing further back. But when you change the dynamic of the comp, you can have members like Twilight basically eating this area up, and then the pharmacy is allowed, if no one's really contesting it, to like fly in this open airspace and then contest over here, And then the Mercy also has like a member to fly to as the Pharah, and you don't have to have a Zen basically playing on the back high ground as like a way for the Mercy to get out. So it just plays like in a different dynamic where they can just play it a little bit differently.
Back it up. Push into the side. Holt not going to find anything. Youngjin under fire, goes low, but will be able to stay alive.
Here's the
Back
flank.
around, looking for the hits, and yeah, the flank coming through. Decay, wrapping his way all the way into the back.
He's going to maybe tag onto the point.
No, he doesn't want anyone to know that he's here, but I think he might have just been spotted. Yep, the call comes through. And that's just going to be Jono immediately moving forward to try to dissuade him from pushing in. Awkward position here for Runaway as Hawksall goes low and goes.
I'd say, yeah, that's the bigger problem is this comp is actually pretty good at flanking that Kongdoo has, so they're able to like wrap and take this ground, and normally a Genji is like in fear whenever he wraps into like this area because there's potentially a Widow that can just one-shot him as he takes the corner, but with there being no one-shot potential on him, essentially, he has a little bit more room to actually play aggressively and go for a flank like this, and then get behind Hawksaw.
Position here for Runaway as Hawksall goes low and goes down. Ding finds the kill. They trade one back onto Decay. Sominsu gets that rocket to connect.
Kongdoo needs to get that dive and like instantly win the fight afterwards, though. They don't want to let this Pharah free reign.
And, you know, the plan starts to make more sense here. Suminsu, we haven't seen him really on the Pharah that much this season because Hawksall's great on Pharah, but in this position, you're running this comp that's very strong against goats. Panthera's running dives as they expect this. They know Suminsu's in the booth. Decay gets, he doesn't touch the point, he's careful like you say, but he does get the dash damage, but he dies. Suminsu picks up 2 kills, and his Pharah is coming up big for Runaway already. Already this feels terrible for Panthera because you ran the counter comp, but you just...
The Pharah junk actually is really insanely good at killing these bubbles as they're trying to cross.
Decay's just trying to farm a blade right now, you can tell by how he's playing this.
Well, he's almost got it. Sominsu nearly has a barrage as well. Rocket comes
Oh, that was really risky for Coma.
Coma takes him low. Now the blade's going to be pulled. Decay finds the first hit there on a Hawksall. Dashes in, looking for the Brigida. They just can't get an angle on him. Blade's going to expire, however, as he gets booped back, so just going to be the 1 kill for now.
Huge
Bumper
rally
falling
here,
low, gets
potentially.
taken down. Decay dashes his way through the barrage down from Sominsu. Finds one onto Youngjin.
It's really hard to pay attention what's going on in this fight, but it's like the prioritization from Kongdoo was basically Hawksaw every single fight. Don't let them get a tire because they win the fight off tire. They can't really play to counter the Pharah. All they can hope for is Youngjin hitting a headshot on him, basically.
Brigida, they just can't get an angle on him. Blade's going to expire.
So basically ignoring, they're ignoring the Orisa until they've already gotten the Junkrat down, and then they're basically playing to isolate them and then like force the rotation. So like once they've taken plat, they're like, okay, all of Runaway now has to be on the point, so Bumper has to rotate on the open. That's when they can look to kill him.
Way through the barrage down from Sominsu. Finds one onto Youngjin. Dragon strike in onto the point, not going to be getting any kills from the side of Kongdoo Panthera. But they're still looking for the fight, they're still looking for the victory, but Sominsu's trying to shut that down. Gets a kill onto Coma, but Decay gets rid of him. Twilight takes down Roar, stun up onto Ding. He's got a self-destruction, can make it back into the mech unless they can kill off the pilot form. Tosses it up into the air, drops down, not going to find any kills. But no
I think Twilight could have been playing more aggro there. He actually had full armor on himself, and he had his armor going like actively.
nearly has another blade.
He could have played to counter the tanks a little bit more.
Left to go, Ding taken out of the mech, Bumper gonna die, and I don't think Slime can get in a position to try to put him back into the fight.
Okay, this Riptire could actually buy them so much time.
He's gonna run it up onto the high ground, he's looking for an opportunity. Self-destruct comes through, hasn't found a target.
They're buying so much time with this tire.
Comes in with a primal range, Roar still gonna get popped down to about half HP, but will not be finding the execution onto that Winston yet.
Buying time for the rotations to come back.
Pulls out the blade, comes in, finds Twilight, finds Hawksall, gets the mech away from Janu, and this should be the take onto the point for Runaway. They're still gonna be trying to delay. The one tick comes through, Bumper jumps in.
I think this was pretty inevitable though. Like once the blade comes out, they don't have a lot to counter it. They just have to hit the brig stun.
5 minutes on the clock for Kongdoo Panthera.
Runaway played this beautifully, though, from start to finish. Suminsu, really good rocket connections. They buy so much time. They will prevent the double cap with this because Panthera had to use so many tools. They've got 5 minutes, but still, Runaway did a lot with his composition. Twilight and Slime, the Valkyrie and Rally combo to keep everybody alive, to avoid the Dragon Blades. Really well played, but now is the scary part. Now is the hardest part, the uphill battle on defense here for Runaway. Rally out already from Twilight, so they're going to keep that armor.
They can't play the same as before because they don't have the Zen, so they can't play like in this area with their tanks to hold like aggressively. And basically have the Zen like playing here, Mercy playing here, so that she has like she has an exit strategy, and then also like pocket through here. Like they can't do that with the comp that they have, so they have to play like in an area where Twilight is going to be able to eat like an area, and like I'd say this is probably a good area for him to block off. So like if anyone comes down here, he can swing on them, and he can also play somewhat safe. and then they have their tanks playing a little bit forward, like here and here, but they have the majority of the team playing back on this area. So like the problem is like if they get bombed over here, or if like a blade comes out, it's actually like pretty bad unless Twilight can like help them, but they also can't play that far forward because they don't have the healing to support it. They want to be playing in an area where Twilight can hit something and then the entire team is going to get healed.
So they're going to keep that armor.
Off that, trying to keep everybody sustained, but no one else is really receiving the armor. Not even Slime. It's getting a connection for that one. Hawksall taken down. They use that Transcendence, and now Decay is charging forward with this Dragon Blade. Looking to shut this down, looking to open up the point. Full rage going to be used by Bumper. Sominsu will die as he has that barrage ready to go.
Yeah, once that area is closed though, and if you don't push them back and get kills, then they're going to be able to snowball pretty hard. Having full health, full armor Brig just swinging on anyone who touches the point is going to be really hard to kill through.
Still no ticks coming through. Hawksall manages to get rid of the Zenyatta, but Roar with the Primal Rage gets rid of Twilight. Move off onto the point, takes Youngjin, or Janu rather, out of that mech, and they will execute him. Pin comes through from Bumper, gets rid of the Winston. Hawksall going low, trying to get that Meteor Strike to buy some space onto the point.
He's got his shield, it keeps him alive a little bit longer. He will have the Meteor Strike soon. Decay,
Finally abandon this.
they don't have any way.
Is there a spot here where we see Ding? Like from this situation, it looks like they can't lose. Where does the far come from? He didn't use his cooldowns. Maybe he was like hiding down here, and then he just uses his regular boosters to get up here and then like uses his cooldowns. That's pretty weird. Where he isn't scouted, like Ding should definitely just be like playing the middleman right here and then looking to play to like eat this barrage because that's basically their only win condition. It's very strange.
Alive a little bit longer. He will have the Dragon Blade though. That's a scary thing. Yep. It's incredible though how much time Runaway bought. No ticks, nothing. For all the success they had, and they won that fight 3 times over and got nothing because the delay was so good from Runaway. Very well played. Slime's going to go back over to the Mercy. But the scary thing is, it's only Twilight who can shut down the Blade. There's no Transcends, and there never will be.
Not going to have it. Decay getting tagged up.
Oh, yo, he's caught.
Alive.
Ooh, yeah. Twilight's in a bit of a weird spot.
Only Twilight who can shut down the Blade. There's no
Like, I think with this comp, they definitely want to have the Pharah right now. I think they're probably used to playing with the Pharah, but like, assuming so, I imagine is thinking he needs to be able to like play a stall hero and he doesn't have Barrage as a threat, so this comp changes where the Mercy actually can't be with him. She's actually having to play like very safe over here, and so he's ending up probably playing in a spot he would normally play, but isn't able to get assistance. He ends up just getting isolated over here on his own, basically. Slime gets baited in, yeah.
One tick going to be gained for the side of Kongdoo Panthera now. Transcendence over to the side. Lumpy does have it ready to go. And might just have to pop, but he does so, trying to keep everybody sustained. Bumper's going to fall as that Earth Shadow becomes available. Runaway going to have to try to string together to get this delay coming through before they can get that, until they can get that Earth Shadow in onto the point. Pulse bomb out from Sominsu.
Something Kongdoo did before as well is they overcommitted and they reset the timer on the respawns. They ended up actually taking people off the point at one point, so they ended up like not having that respawn dominance that you need.
Bumper pushes in onto the point, throws down the shatter, finds
was
a
pretty
couple
big.
hits, but can they get the follow-up kills? Tries to find the pin. Roar goes low, but not going down. Bumper gets hit into the back of the point and will get eliminated. Runaway just trying to buy some time, but Decay has another play. The May gonna get popped down. Sominsu gonna go down, and this should be it. This should be the finish as they just keep killing every single member of Runaway as they get in onto the point. A third one to finish things off as the mech goes down. But Runaway just keep pushing back through, just keep trying to buy some time, but eventually something's gotta give. And Kongdoo Panthera will get the cap here with time in the bank.
They will. Wins them this match. And they near experience a pretty flexible swap here to the Hanzo. Make Sominsu.
I like this comp they were holding before.
You see that it's the same composition. Diva's position is scouted by the Sonic Arrow.
Rocket's coming down, taking a lot of damage.
And there's gonna abuse Janu.
With that halt, Janu falling low, but he's just gonna be helping to take Ting out of the mech and Hawks up.
They actually don't want to be fighting in this area. This is actually really smart from Runaway.
Sonic Arrow.
Like, Kongdoo doesn't want to be fighting in this area. I think the play, actually, rather than trying to do this normal rotation,
And then just make Sominsu.
it plays differently. So you don't want the normal rotation. The play might actually just be put your tanks up on the statues here, and then look to execute a dive in midair, rather than trying to make these rotations. Like, they're trying to rotate through main, basically bubble the choke, and then try to get, like, everyone through. But it feels like that just isn't working, because they have Janu, like, he ends up, like, stuffing this doorway, and then there's, like, spam from Farah, like, coming in here, and then Junk coming in through here, and it's bouncing off the walls, and it's just splashing on every member. So the play might actually just be, like, dive, use the bubble on plat, and, like, try to take all the damage on the tanks, rather than, like, splitting it, trying to get the rotations from all the members.
Diva's position is scouted by the Sonic Arrow.
Rocket's coming down, taking a lot of damage.
And there's gonna abuse
Because, like, every member is, like, taking damage as they're coming in.
With that halt, Janu falling low, but he's just gonna be helping to take Ting out of the mech, and Hawksall comes with the kill. Now get the second one onto Youngjin. He'll get the res onto the Diva. Twilight gonna be eliminated, but Sominsu comes into the back, finds Slumping. Now they find Roar. Everybody just gonna be taken down here. Res brings the Twilight back into the fray, so Runaway is still gonna be operating as a 6-man.
I honestly thought Janu was going to, like, take so much more damage there, but it seemed like no one on Kongdoo was actually able to do anything, because they were getting, like, CC'd and hit with all the spam. So they were just, like, getting bounced around and not able to, like, hit optimal targets.
Janu as a bait there. It looked to me, even from that perspective, that he was just going to get punished for where he was. He was scouted. But Runaway knew how Panthera were going to operate around this. They collapse in. They trade up in kills. Get a few ultimates here, the most important one being the Riptire, and Kongdoo Panthera has to go back to the drawing board.
Have the barrage as well. Big drag out onto that hook here onto Janu as he tries to stay alive, but will get popped out of the mech in the end, it would seem. Sominsu now going to be eliminated as well, but Koma taken down with the Riptire.
The hog swap is actually massive. It's really smart.
Spamming away here is Janu trying to build up that pilot form, but not going to be given the opportunity.
Youngjin just plays the counter Janu, who's been trying to bait.
Holding this one, 25 seconds. One tick is all that Kongdoo Panthera need. Can they get it? They're staggering Youngjin. They set him into the wall. They take him down. So now it's going to be Slime. Eliminated. Looking for the hits here. Get Koma. Janu finds it. Shield smash. Rally going to be popped by Twilight. And Roar.
They got staggered so hard here, though, that it's really hard for them to retake.
With this Dragon Blade.
Once again, it's all in the blade. It's all in the blade.
Huge play. Drops down. Dodges out onto that little boot, but he falls low.
Oh, there was no blade for him.
Comes up with the kill, and the Runaway are looking to make this one a draw as they hold off Kongdoo Panthera. Self-destruct comes in, Janu finds the Winston, Koma goes down, Zing popped out of the mech again, Runaway managing to hold this one off. They can't make it onto the point, and that's gonna be it.
Draw.
The bait was honestly so massive, that first fight.